Welcome back to Ben's Book Club. Today, we are diving into the book Well Endowed. If you've moved way past the basics of budgeting and you're sitting there asking yourself, okay, well, now what? This is the ultimate explainer for you. We're getting into former Wall Street trader Vivian Tu's highly anticipated follow-up to her bestseller, Rich AF. You know the feeling, right? You make good money now, but maybe you still feel like you're literally one bad mistake away from ruining your entire financial future. Yeah, sounds familiar. This is definitely not about scraping together your first $1,000 or obsessing over cutting out your daily latte. Nope. This is about mastering those heavy-hitting, super complicated decisions of adulthood that actually determine if your early financial stability is going to transform into lasting generational wealth. Today's explainer covers 5 major milestones. We've got the grad school of finance, the strategic spending shift, tackling the big deals, protecting the foundation, and finally, engineering generational wealth. Let's get right into it.
Section 1, Grad School of Finance, Adulthood's Awkward Middle Chapter. So we're completely moving past the basic budget and save advice to tackle the really heavy-hitting decisions of your late 20s and 30s. You've probably got the fundamentals down by now. Your debt's shrinking, savings are growing, and you're thankfully no longer living paycheck to paycheck. But here's the thing. This specific stage of life is just packed with high-stakes financial questions that most of us just kind of guess our way through. Tu calls this the Adulthood Graduate School of Finance because the decisions you make today are going to compound for decades. And right at the center of all this is the concept of an endowment. Usually when we hear the word endowment, we picture, a massive gated university fund. Harvard has one, Yale has one. But Tu actually wants you to build your own. Think of an endowment as this self-sustaining system of wealth that's specifically designed to support the exact life you want to live. Functionally, it's a pot of money that doesn't just sit there gathering dust. It acts like a machine. If you build an investment portfolio that generates enough annual return to cover all your living expenses, you never actually have to touch the principal amount. It just actively grows for generations. It's basically about creating a mathematical engine that buys you time, security, and freedom completely without sacrificing your joy today.
Moving right along to Section 2, the strategic spending shift, de-influencing your wallet. Before we can even start building that financial house, we need to totally overhaul the foundation. And that means shifting how you think about your daily expenses. Tu makes a really strong argument that true wealth just isn't built by depriving yourself. Instead, we have to audit our money stories and practice something she calls de-influencing. That basically means putting a hard stop to those money leaks driven by social media hype and lifestyle creep. We're looking at a pretty stark contrast here. On one side, we have the old money way, which is all about super restrictive budgeting, keeping financial knowledge hidden away in a black box, and feeling this profound guilt over literally every single luxury. On the flip side, Tu introduces the rich BFF way. This is all about strategic spending. Value-based cash flow means that every single dollar you spend is a deliberate choice that shapes your future. Let me give you a really relatable real-world example of de-influencing. It means choosing to spend, say, $300 a month on a house cleaning service because buying back those 10 hours of your weekend brings you immense peace and joy, while simultaneously refusing to buy that trendy $2,000 designer bag that you only really want because you saw it on an influencer's page. Bottom line, if a luxury brings you genuine joy and a solid return on your time, you totally do it. Section 3, tackling the big deals, real estate, relationships, and vehicles. All right, so with the right mindset locked in, it's time to build the structure of our estate. And we do that by confronting the 3 absolute largest financial choices you're going to make. In this awkward middle chapter of life, guessing is just no longer an option. We are talking about housing, vehicles, and marriage. These are the big deals that can either seriously accelerate your journey to an endowment or set you back decades. When looking at real estate, Tully really strips away that traditional American dream assumption that you absolutely, unconditionally must buy a house. You have to calculate the true cost of homeownership, which goes way beyond just a monthly mortgage payment. You've got to factor in property taxes, closing costs, lawn care, and, oh yeah, that inevitable $10,000 roof repair. When you compare those hidden costs against the ultimate flexibility and the fixed costs of renting, home ownership isn't always an automatic wealth builder. The exact same logic goes for vehicles. You have to understand the practical cost breakdowns of leasing versus financing. And crucially, you need to wrap your head around the concept of good debt. Let's do the math real quick. Say you have a car loan with a 4% interest rate, but you can confidently earn an 8% return by putting your extra cash into the stock market. Well, paying off that car early is actually a mathematical mistake. Keeping that low interest debt allows your money to work so much harder for you somewhere else. We also have to completely reframe relationships. Look, money is often a massive elephant in the room for couples.
In the old school way of thinking, prenuptial agreements are totally taboo. They're seen as this giant red flag that you just expect the marriage to fail. But take a second and imagine the sheer anxiety of never talking about debt or financial expectations before tying your lives together legally. In Two's blueprint, having the big money talk and structuring a prenup is actually presented as an incredibly romantic gesture. It means you sit down together, you put all your cards on the table, and you foster some deep, meaningful teamwork. It's an act of saying, hey, I care enough about you to ensure we are both legally and financially protected no matter what the future holds. It brilliantly turns a source of deep anxiety into a rock-solid foundation of trust. Okay, Section 4, protecting the financial foundation, building the moat. So you simply cannot build lasting generational wealth if a single unexpected emergency is capable of totally wiping out your entire foundation. This is exactly where we transition from playing offense with our money to playing defense. It's what bridges the gap between simply doing okay and being truly set for life. Things like term life insurance, renter's insurance, pet insurance, and drafting a will are so often avoided because, well, they force us to think about absolute worst-case scenarios. They are unsexy administrative tasks, but they act as a vital moat of protection around your family's future. Think about it for a second. A surprise $5,000 emergency vet bill for your dog can force you to drain your investments early, triggering taxes and penalties, or a burst pipe in a rented apartment can literally destroy everything you own. Having the right insurance policies forms a defensive wall against all of that. Two reframes these estate planning tasks not as annoying burdens, but as profound acts of care. They basically ensure that an emotional tragedy doesn't double into a financial tragedy. And finally, Section 5, engineering generational wealth, leaving a legacy, not entitlement. We've reached the ultimate goal of the blueprints, figuring out exactly how to pass down your financial security without accidentally turning the next generation into entitled brats. This is a massive point of tension for anyone building substantial wealth. Like, how do you give your kids a head start in life without removing their drive or making them completely dependent on your money? Well, we can build a seamless chronological pipeline for setting up a child's future. Step 1 involves funding UTMA or UGMA accounts early on. These are simply custodial accounts that let you invest on behalf of a minor, giving their money decades to grow in the market before they officially take control as adults. Step 2 is utilizing 529 college savings plans, which are special investment accounts designed to efficiently fund their education completely tax-free. And Step 3 is locking it all in with specific trusts and wills to bypass probate. For those who don't know, probate is a long, incredibly expensive, and very public legal court process for distributing a deceased person's property. You absolutely want to avoid it at all costs. But here is the absolute secret ingredient. It isn't just about opening the accounts. It's about passing down financial literacy right alongside the assets. You're teaching your children how to actually manage the endowment, not just handing them raw cash in a black box. The absolute crucial point here is that your money is simply a tool used to buy time, security, and freedom for both you and your heirs. Your company's 401k match alone is just not going to save you. Think about the stark difference between a doctor making $500,000 a year who is completely broke because of unchecked lifestyle creep and a modest earner making $70,000 a year who has deliberately built a massive endowment over time. Striving for a massive salary doesn't guarantee a rich life at all if your spending is completely out of control. True wealth is intentionally engineering a system that works in the background to support you, regardless of your job title. So the big question isn't just how much money you can hoard, but what is the actual purpose of that money? What kind of life are you funding? As you construct your own legacy and decide what values your endowment will support, subscribe so you don't miss an episode.